Okay, hello and welcome to this video. This video is about how to use simple strategy for load testing in SOAPUI free version. This video is gonna be about load testing for a SOAP service that's called count documents. That's listed right here. We're gonna be using the simple strategy. Um, First of all, we just need to be familiar with what a simple strategy is. This strategy is mainly about making sure that the server is processing at least that number of threads at a time. So for this example, the server should be processing specifically 10 requests or 10 calls at the same time. Let's go through the fields that we can find on the load test in SOAP UI. We can see here that we have a limit field. This limit can be configured to any number, and you can choose the units of this number to be in seconds, which means that this test is gonna run for 10 seconds. And you can also choose it to be total runs, which means if you set this to total runs, this means that this load test is gonna run for 10 threads and then it's gonna stop. And you can also choose the units to be runs per thread. We have here the number of threads, and threads in load testing or in performance testing in general means the number of virtual users that are currently hitting the system. So if I'm setting the number of threads to 10, that means that I need to check the system behavior when 10 users are using the system at the same time. The strategy here is simple. There are other strategies, but for this video we're using simple strategy. The test delay is the delay between sending and receiving a request to the server side. We're gonna have a better view of or on how this works when we run the load test. And this random field, it just randomizes the delay between sending and receiving request. So by setting it to 0, I'm making sure that this delay is always 1 second. For example, if I set it to 0.5, this means that the delay is gonna vary from 0.5 seconds to 1.5 seconds. So I'm gonna leave it as 0 for now. Okay, so I'm gonna run this simple strategy using 10 threads, and I'm setting the limit for 10 seconds. Let's first clear the logs, because we will be checking the logs to explain how the simple strategy works. And let's run. Okay, it's processing. As you can see, the count is increasing and the average time is changing based on the last, or based on calculating the average time of the request sent. Now we're gonna export the log file, or the log of SOAPUI, to an external file so we can have a better look at it. I'm gonna go over there and we're gonna open it. Okay, so as we said earlier, simple load test in SOAPUI aims to have a number of threads that are currently hitting the server or are currently being processed by the server, and it makes sure that even if one of this of one of these users or one of these threads just comes back with a response, or is done processing, or is done being processed by the server side, SOAPUI makes sure that it sends another request so that the number of users or number of threads being processed by the server at any time is 10 for the duration of the load test. So if we check here, we're gonna see that at second 15, it started sending the threads that are configured for this load test. We can see that it sent 10 threads. We can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. all sent at second 15. So now we're sure that we have 10 threads being processed by the server side at the meantime. Now, if we scroll down, we're gonna find that we're starting to receive responses from the server. Some of the requests that were sent earlier are just done being processed by the server side, and they are now being sent back, or we are now receiving responses. So for example, if we're sending 10 threads and let's say 3 of them are done being processed, we're gonna receive replies, and currently there will be only 7 being processed by the server, and that's not what we need. We need to always have 10 threads being currently processed by the system. So what's gonna happen is that SOAPUI is gonna start sending another three threads or 3 requests, so that the total number of threads currently hitting the server are 10. We can check this here at the second 16. We received a response 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8. We're just gonna check the second 16. Okay, second 16, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we received 5 responses at the second 16. Now what's gonna happen is that SOAPUI is gonna wait for 1 second, which is the delay that we defined in here, and then it's gonna start sending again that number of requests, which means that we received here 5 responses. So that means that currently there are only 5 requests being handled by the server side, and we need to increase that to 10. I'm sorry, we need to increase that to 10. So what's gonna happen is that since we received a response at this second 16, SOAPUI is gonna wait for 1 second as configured before, and it's gonna start sending 5 requests again, so that the number of requests being currently processed by the server side is 10. As you can see here at the second 17, it started sending. This is 1 and 2 and 3 and then 4 and 5, and then it's gonna and so on and so on and so forth. It's gonna repeat the same, making sure that the system is currently processing specifically 10 requests at a time. That's the main aim of simple strategy in SOAPUI for load testing, is to make sure that the system is currently processing that configured number of threads at a time. As you can see here, that's the count of requests that were sent to the server side. They are 47 in addition to making sure, or to addition to the criteria of the simple strategy of SOAPUI load testing, which is having specifically 10 requests being processed by the server side at a time. So that's all for today. That's all for this video. If you have any questions or any comments, please leave it below. Thank you so much.